you will seek.
Since Buddhism has such a powerful impact on Tibet, how do you think the religion would inform the kind of, I don't know if forgiveness is the right term, but the fact that there will be these tensions between these ethnically Chinese Han people in Tibet who some Tibetans will have lots of reason to be resentful and angry towards?
Absolutely. Forgetfulness and forgiveness is something that I always have dilemma on, and I ponder upon, actually. There are times when we are, we are sitting there and seeking teachings of different lamas, including His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, and we feel like they urge that, okay, maybe we need to do that to move on, right? So it's so easy to say that you need to forgive to move on. But when you are on an actual spot, somebody like I don't think that I'm reincarnation of any high lamas, that it's going to be easy for me to forgive. But for us to find a space, I feel like right now we're in a tight spot, especially when the freedom movement is going on. We feel like there is no repentance whatsoever from the Chinese Communist Party. They completely deny all the atrocities that they are committing, all the torture that they're committing on the Tibetan people and our other allies, including the Uyghurs and Southern Mongolians and the Hong Kongers, and what they're doing right now in Taiwan. So while all these things are going on, I don't see why I should be magnanimous enough to say, I forgive you. I can't. It won't be easy. But I've learned to be big enough to know that I can adjust myself as a good neighbor of China in future. This is something that I can compromise myself to. I don't think I can go beyond that.
Yeah. Well, one of the challenges is not just that part of it, but if you look at the borders of Tibet, right? So the way the Chinese Communist Party drew the borders, there's the Tibet Autonomous Region. But historical Tibet and the populations of Tibetans living under the PRC, like probably half the Tibetan population that's in China is on like the Tibetan plateau that's part of, it's like Gansu province, Qinghai, Sichuan, and Yunnan province, right? Like that's not within the borders of the Tibet Autonomous Region. So then how, even if the Tibetan government was able to get back to Tibet as defined by the Communist Party, it's also like, that's not even the whole country, really. So there's going to be like border wars over...
Yeah. So if I interject to that, what we are seeking as Jinin autonomy is the actual Tibet. That's the entire Tibetan plateau that consists of all the 3 traditional regions of Tibet, which today is the so-called Tibetan Autonomous Region, Gansu, Yunnan, Sichuan. So all these regions. So it's not just the so-called Tibet Autonomous Region. It's the entire Tibet, the actual Tibet. And I think that is where, from the CCP side, the problem begins. They want us every time to, first of all, accept that Tibet had been part of China, right? And when we, after that, to accept that that's the only Tibet. And after that, this is how, compromise after compromise, this is how they want us to go upon. But the reality is, we can't have a dialogue, a true dialogue, if we don't begin from truth. So I think this is where I have my questions and doubts about the middle way approach, because we have had many dialogues with our counterparts, but have we have any concrete result out of it? We haven't had. It's just the faith from our side, which is entirely because of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, who believes that, okay, there can be a result out of it because of who he is. He chose to believe in, even our enemy. I don't shy away from calling CCP our enemy. And he still believes that, they should be given opportunity. We should feel sorry. We should feel compassionate about it. But I feel as human being myself, it's difficult for me to feel that way, right? So, this is where the problem begins with middle way approach. Because we'll have to shun the reality, past reality of Tibet and accept that Tibet is part of China. No. If we don't, they won't have dialogue with us. So how do we have dialogue with Chinese Communist Party and its leadership? So that's where I start having doubt about the middle way approach.